In today's conversation, I want to thank each and every one of you for liking, subscribing, sharing, listening to the podcast thus far. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. Welcome into the Bears and Lions podcast. I am your host, Kyle Vaught, and this is the podcast where we challenge our present by viewing our past. I'm a firm believer that our greatest future lies within the correct view of our past. Because when you actually look at your past, you're going to find all the things that went wrong, but you're also going to find some things that went right. You're going to find some things that made you feel good about yourself. You're going to find some things that you're going to say, oh, I forgot I did that. I did that. That's kind of cool. You're going to find things that, of course, you're going to say, man, I'm so glad I experienced that. And you're going to find other things that you're going to say, I wish I could experience that one more time. And the good news is you can. There are things that we can reassess and relive in different areas and different moments. Now, it may be us creating a brand new memory, but that emotion might meet that same standard. And it's our job to step into our future with that ferocity and joy. So that's what we're going to do. And I hope that you will step into the future with me. I wanted to share a little bit about my purpose statement of this podcast. When I first started out, this is episode 20. So we have been doing this now 2 times a week for the last 10 weeks, which is exciting and a feat in and of itself. A lot of different discipline, a lot of excitement has gone into creating this podcast. When I first started, I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it. I just knew I needed to. I just knew I needed to start. And so I wanted to share a little bit about the podcast and about my vision for this podcast. And it boils down to my purpose statement. View the past, challenge the present, and step into the future. It's that simple. I want to view our past, myself included. Actually, let me rephrase this. I want to view my past. I want to challenge my present, and I want to step into my future. Whether any of you choose to come along with me, that's up to you, and that's a personal decision. I hope I inspire you to step into your future. I hope I inspire you to view your past, challenge your present, and step into your future. Because that is my purpose statement. I've spent much of my life being told I need to let go of my past, let it go, right? There's a whole movie series on Disney about that. Forget my past, right? Forget it and move on. I used to hear the term FIDO, forget it and drive on. FIDO. Live in the now. Oh, I hear that all the time. YOLO, live in the now, the present, now. Problem is I make a lot of dumb decisions in the now, and it's not that simple, because in the now, sometimes I'm not thinking about tomorrow, and I've got important things that I want to do tomorrow, but if I'm not living with that mentality, then I'm just going to live in the now. I want to stay up late, I'm going to stay up late, but I really want to wake up in the morning and go to the gym. Okay. If I stay up late, that's what's going to happen, is I'm not going to wake up. There are a lot of things that I've gone through in life, which is why this podcast, when I was formulating the idea, and I've had this idea for a long, long time. This has been years in the making. I've had the mentality and idea of Bears and Lions, which is derived from scripture. When David fought Goliath, he had to ask permission to fight Goliath. And he went to the king and said, I'm going to fight this giant. And the king was like, no, you're not. and the king essentially said, this guy is a seasoned veteran warrior, and he's a giant. You are basically a young teenager. What are you talking about? Like, you're a shepherd. And he's like, that's right. I'm a shepherd. I fought bears and lions whenever they would come after my father's sheep. And if that bear or lion would turn on me, I would strike it and kill it. This giant will be no different. I'm just saying, he's got a good resume. I think you have a good resume as well. I think each and every one of us have a much better resume than we've told ourselves, that other people have told us, or that what we think about ourselves or what other people think about us. We have a better resume than even that. And it's our job to view our past, challenge our present, and step into our future. That is my purpose statement. And with that, I truly believe that unlocks our ability to live our greatest future, because we deal with the things in our past, we walk with purpose in our present, and then we are confident in stepping into our future. We are on the move. We have that ferocity and the joy to face the things that are coming at our way. Whatever comes tomorrow, we have that ferocity and we have that joy and that mentality of, I'm not going to let this knock me down for long. It may hit me and it may knock me down, but I'm not going to let it keep me down. I'm going to get back up. Now, it was funny because when I was writing out my show notes and everything that I was preparing for, all of a sudden this thing came in mind where I was like, what am I talking about with this idea? Does anybody remember the game Temple Run? This came to my mind like 30 minutes ago, and I was like, wait a second, this is actually like how I view my life and the podcast and the viewing your past correctly. If you remember Temple Run, it was like this unique phone game that like blew up in 2011, 2012. And I actually looked it up. There was like at one point 50 million players that had played that game and over 1 billion downloads. So I guess there was more downloads than like concurrent players at the same time. But it was this wild game, and in the game, you were like this Indiana Jones where you just stole something from a temple, and then you're running down a track, and a giant gorilla is chasing you out of this temple. So it's like you have a treasure, and you're running, and there's obstacles. You can only move left, you can move right, and you can jump and you can slide to dodge these ever-changing obstacles. So every once in a while, it'll all of a sudden be like a sharp left turn, right turn, etc., and you would have to jump over, roots that would be in the way, or there'd be like fire that you would have to slide under. Sometimes you would have to jump over these giant gaps, and you lost whenever you hit those obstacles too many times and the gorilla would catch you, or if you fell off the map, if you didn't turn when you were supposed to turn, or if you didn't jump when you were supposed to jump. And I thought it was interesting because this is exactly how it is with our present and our past. Is I feel like the more you would focus on that game, the harder it would get, because you would get laser focused and then you would swipe, left just a little bit too early, or maybe you would like jump just a little too late, or slide a little too early, and then you'd hit the fire and you would have to start over. And I am a firm believer, and I've said this before, we become what we behold. If you are focused on something specific, whether it's what you did wrong or what you did right, that's going to happen. We become what we behold. If we're so afraid of the mistakes we've made in the past, we will consistently compare ourselves with our present against those mistakes. Oh, at least I'm not doing this. Or, oh, I did this again. I must not be progressing because I did the same mistake again. Or any of those things might be coming back. But I don't want to make those mistakes again. Right? I don't want to make those mistakes. But if I'm only focused on when I need to move left and right, I really struggle. Right? Like I'm so laser focused. I'm going to jump too soon. I'm going to slide too early. And that's just how life is. And if we're afraid of those, right? Okay, so I'll boil it down like this. If we're afraid of the mistakes we've made in our past and we're constantly comparing it, right? We will continuously belittle ourselves for not reaching what we think we should be at, because we're only comparing ourselves to the mistakes we've made, instead of all the really cool things that have happened in the past. And I don't want to make those mistakes. I don't think anybody wants to make those mistakes again. And it comes to a point where it's far less about avoiding the pitfalls and on all the different distractions and obstacles you're facing and the mistakes you've made in the past. And it just gets to the point where you know when to jump. You know when to slide. That experience has helped teach you how, yeah, you can avoid a lot of these pitfalls, by just not focusing so much on it. And the Temple Run was why it came to mind, is because the less I actually paid attention and I just kind of went at it, the better I was at it. Because I wasn't focused on like, oh, there's going to be a turn up here. I just, as the turn comes, I'd take the turn. Oh, there's going to be a jump right here. Jump. It's like as things happened, I just reacted to it instead of, oh, here comes a jump. Here comes a jump. I need to jump now. Oh, I jumped too early. And I think we do that in life. I think we do that a lot. And that's what this podcast is for, is I want to challenge myself. And I want to accurately view my past. And I want to accurately share what I've learned throughout my past and throughout my present of what I'm going through and the different things that I get to experience on a day-to-day basis and the things that I learn and I get excited about. So there's so many things that this podcast hasn't even unlocked yet, that I haven't even shared yet. And I'm so excited about that. So I wanted to take an episode to kind of set you a little bit of a sample of what's to come. I wanted to give you an overview of this is my purpose. It's to view the past, challenge the present, and step into the future. Every step of the way, we're always going to be focused on those three things: past, present, and future. Because how in the world are we going to know what we want in the future? And how are we going to achieve what we want in the future if we are not living with purpose right now in the present? How are we going to know what we don't want in the future if we're not paying attention to the things that happened in the past and we say, I don't really want that anymore? That's not actually what I want to do. That's called maturing, by the way. I want us to mature together as a human race. And as people who are listening here, I hope that you know, I just want us to mature together into the best possible humans we can be, the kindest, the smartest, the most diligent, the most disciplined, the people who are going to make tomorrow's future a better place for not just some, but everybody, right? How do you become more understanding? How do you communicate better to the people that you disagree with most? I think it's so important that we have these conversations. And this podcast, it's not going to be any different. That's what we're going to do. So I've kind of laid out the purpose statement of this podcast, and I hope that those of you who have listened or those of you who come back to this episode, maybe you are listening to episode 100 in the future, right? And you're just like, I really like this podcast. I'm going to go back and listen to episode 1 through 20. And you get to 20. This is what I'm telling you. So whenever you listen to this, I hope you understand that this podcast is always going to be a place where we view our past, challenge our present, and step into our future. And we're going to experience and accomplish incredible things together. Speaking of incredible things, this is the future of this podcast. So in 2020, there was an estimate of 2 million podcasts, right? 2 million podcasts in 2022. In 2022, there was an estimate of 2 million podcasts. Out of those podcasts, 90% did not get past episode 3. That's 1.8 million podcasts never got past episode 3. So we're doing pretty good. This is episode 20. Of the remaining 200,000 podcasts, 90% would quit after 20 episodes. So this is our 20th episode. I could quit, and then I would be a part of that 10%, right? But I'm not going to. Therefore, if you completed 21 episodes in 2022, you'd be in the top 1% of all podcasters. Now, that's pretty dope because we're definitely doing 21 episodes. I've already worked on the 21st episode. We have a really cool episode happening coming up, which I'll share about in a moment. Point being, we're not stopping. Everything has changed too this year. There's this ever rising podcast, right? So in 2023, I looked up in 2023 the numbers right now. There's about 4 million podcasts now. So it's almost doubled in the last year. However, I looked up only 720,000 have more than 10 episodes. So we're doing pretty good, which is 18% of all podcasts, by the way. So we're in the top 20% right now, period. And only 156,000 are releasing weekly episodes, which is 3.9%. Now we're releasing 2 episodes a week. So we are releasing that week. So we are in the top 3.9% of podcasts right now. Top 5% in podcasts, which is pretty awesome to think about because we just got started. But this is not the end. This is just the beginning. See, Bears and Lions podcast is not only going to continue to be posted every Monday and Thursday at 7 a.m. Eastern time to start your day and get prepped throughout the week. For the rest of this year, I am committing to you all and to myself that we will be adding a guest session once a month. And that will be posted on the third Sunday of every month at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Now, I'm excited because you might look at the calendar now and realize, hey, this Sunday is the third calendar month, the third calendar Sunday of the month. And yes, that means that this Sunday, we will be posting our first ever guest session. And I am so excited. I am so happy to announce our first guest for the podcast. Our first guest is a modern mogul in this digital world. They've racked up 3.8 million likes on TikTok and over 375,000 followers across all social media platforms. I'm so excited to share that we will be speaking with none other than Queen Manda here on the podcast on Sunday. And it's going to be an absolute incredible conversation that I can't wait to just share you. There's so much in the conversation that I learned and gleaned from, and you're going to want to listen to it. It's so incredible. I'm so excited to share that. So you're going to want to listen to it. For the rest of this year, we will have guest sessions once a month. So that's one more time in November and one more time in December. Now, we're going to continue to post our normal podcast episodes on Monday and Thursday that are 20 minutes or less. That's the goal. However, I am working on how to set up a good schedule. There's also some stuff happening at my work, so we're going to keep you updated on that. Some exciting things are also happening, but there is a possibility that I am going to begin posting more into 2024. And right now I'm organizing my life and my schedule and how I can do that. So if you want to hear anything specific, if you want to hear any conversations, if you want me to research and talk about anything specific, please like, follow, subscribe. Find me on Instagram. Find me on TikTok. Find me on all of the social medias, right? I'm actually not on TikTok, so I've got to take that back. Find me on Twitter, X, Instagram as well. I probably should be on TikTok now that I say that out loud. I probably should. But I am so excited to share the future of this podcast with you all. There's so much happening in my life, and I know in your life as well. So I can't wait to share along with that. If you haven't, make sure that you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel because that helps out the most. You can find me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts as well. Bears and Lions Podcast. I post there. The Instagram is at Kyle_Vaught. That's at Kyle_V as in Victor ATT. And then X is just at Kyle Vaught. You can also find me on YouTube by searching at Kyle Vaught. I really appreciate the support. This is just the beginning. 100 episodes from now, you're going to look back and we're all going to say, this is really cool because this is exactly how we wanted to establish ourselves and move forward. It's all about consistency and discipline. That's going to do it for this conversation, though. I cannot wait to see you all Sunday. Remember to give grace, show love, and as always, stay stellar. Peace.